Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this and completely dismantle a massive misconception about what actually happens to our muscle tissue when we stop eating. For years, we've been told that skipping meals immediately signals the body to just start eating its own muscle. But as we're going to see today, the biological reality happening deep inside your cells is so much more fascinating. We are literally looking at a complete shift in your body's operating system.
Today's agenda maps out our biological journey. We'll be looking at 1. The muscle loss myth, 2. The cellular cleaning crew, 3. The 48-hour timeline, 4. The hormonal tug-of-war, 5. Remodeling versus degradation, and finally 6. The refeeding evolution. We're going to explore the precise cellular mechanisms, the timelines, and those hormonal changes that kick in when you give your digestive system a break.
Kicking things off with Section 1, the muscle loss myth. Let's tackle the biggest fear that haunts fitness enthusiasts and health-conscious folks alike. So, does not eating mean your muscles immediately break down? It sounds totally logical, right? No food equals no protein, which equals muscle loss. But research dating all the way back to the 1970s shows us that your body actually has a highly sophisticated priority system. Tearing down your hard-earned structural muscle tissue for energy, that is an absolute last resort. Your body first relies on liver glycogen, and then fatty acids released from fat tissue. It's basically a metabolic safety net that only triggers muscle breakdown when fat stores are extremely depleted. Moving to Section 2, the cellular cleaning crew. To really understand what happens instead of muscle loss, we need to think of your muscle cells as a 24/7 manufacturing factory that just generates a ton of biological trash over time. I mean, they're constantly producing, contracting, repairing. And in that process, damaged proteins build up, mitochondria wear out, and cellular debris piles up, silently slowing down the factory's overall efficiency.
The magic word here is autophagy. Think of it as the factory's night shift cleaning crew. When fasting signals them to clock in, specialized molecular machines using proteins like Bakelin-1 and the ULK1 complex wrap up that damaged cellular debris and recycle it into fresh energy. They literally identify the damaged parts, encase them in double membrane structures called autophagosomes, and ship them off to be broken down and reused. It's brilliant.
And as studies have shown, if you were to genetically disable this cleaning crew, muscles actually lose strength. They accumulate toxic, misfolded proteins, even if you're not fasting. In fact, by recycling damaged internal components into usable amino acids, autophagy actually reduces your body's need to break down structural muscle fibers for fuel. So the muscle isn't starving. It's efficiently managing its resources. Like the quote says, autophagy is not an optional maintenance, it is the very means by which muscle tissue survives.
Which brings us to Section 3, the timeline of muscle rebuilding. So exactly when does this night shift clock in during a fast to start cleaning? Because your muscle tissue operates on a completely different schedule compared to, say, your liver or your brain.
Let's look at how this plays out. It starts around the 12 to 16-hour mark as liver glycogen depletes. By 16 to 18 hours, autophagy markers begin to measurably rise. But the absolute peak window, that hits right between 24 and 48 hours. That's when autophagosomes form vigorously to clean house. Past 48 hours, the body begins adjusting its stress signals. Now, hitting that peak at 48 hours doesn't mean the process suddenly becomes useless afterward, right? It just means the autophagy rate reaches its maximum measurable intensity before your body makes its compensatory adaptations.
During this peak window, a crucial sub-process called mitophagy kicks in. Think of the PINK1 Parkin pathway as a super strict quality control manager. It hunts down exhausted mitochondria, those faulty power plants that are leaking toxic byproducts, and it eliminates them before they can cause wider cellular damage. Because muscle cells contract constantly, their mitochondria are always under oxidative stress. This quality control makes room for new, highly efficient mitochondria to grow. That's exactly why fasting doesn't weaken the cell. It removes what was already failing.
Okay, Section 4, hormones that protect muscles. While all this microscopic cleaning is happening down on the cellular factory floor, there is a massive hormonal negotiation occurring in the background to keep your muscles safe. You see, the fate of your muscle isn't just about cellular cleaning, it's about the entire hormonal environment governing your body.
And this perfectly illustrates a huge shift. Did you know that during a fast, your growth hormone secretions can actually spike 3 to 5 times their normal levels? 3 to 5 times! Because calories are restricted, this hormone isn't directly building new muscle tissue in that moment, but it is serving an incredibly vital protective role.
Take a look at this ultimate physiological tug-of-war deciding your muscles' fate. Growth hormone shifts your body toward burning fat and preserving structure, directly battling against the catabolic pressure of rising cortisol. Growth hormone sends this powerful lipolytic signal, basically telling your body, hey, use fat for fuel and leave the muscle alone. But as a fast extends beyond 24 hours, cortisol, which is a stress hormone, starts to rise, creating pressure to break down proteins. It's the balance of this dynamic hormonal environment that determines exactly how much muscle you maintain.
Section 5. Not degradation, but muscle remodeling. The crux of this entire explainer really comes down to distinguishing between two concepts that sound identical but are biologically opposite. Honestly, this is where so much of the mainstream confusion originates.
So what's the difference? Degradation is the pathological loss of structural proteins like actin and myosin, whereas remodeling, which is what fasting actually triggers, is the selective clearing of metabolic noise and misfolded proteins without losing functional tissue. Degradation happens during things like severe starvation or extended bed rest. Remodeling, on the other hand, is an essential editing process. The structural integrity of your muscle is preserved, but all that cellular garbage hindering its performance gets thrown out.
Interestingly, this remodeling isn't uniform across the board. Your endurance-focused type 1 fibers, the ones you use for long jogs, they respond rapidly and super positively to autophagy. They are packed with mitochondria and literally thrive under this metabolic stress. But your explosive type 2 fibers, the ones used for heavy lifting or sprinting, they require a bit more careful consideration during extreme fasts that extend past 48 hours. Since they rely more on glycolysis for that explosive power, they're more sensitive to muscle wasting signals if you push a fast too far beyond that 48-hour window without extreme care.
Section 6. Muscle evolution after resuming eating. This is honestly the most exciting part of the explainer. The profound physiological payoff when you finally break the fast. Because in the biology of muscle, the end of a fast isn't just the return of food, it's a launchpad for growth. The crucial takeaway here is that you aren't left with a weakened muscle. You're left with a highly efficient, clean cellular environment that is chemically primed for growth. The oxidative damage is lower, the junk proteins are gone, and your internal muscle factory is completely reorganized. It is ready to scale up production. Research shows that once nutrition returns, your muscle's mTOR pathway, which is the primary driver of muscle protein synthesis, is actually more sensitive and reactive than if you had just been constantly eating. Because you've cleared out all that cellular noise, your muscle responds far more aggressively and efficiently to the protein and training stimuli you provide right after the fast is broken. It's like a dry sponge soaking up water.
Science shows us that intermittent fasting, when properly managed, isn't breaking your muscle down, it is selectively upgrading it. It completely changes the paradigm, proving that the absence of food is a feature, not a bug. It leaves us to wonder how we can strategically harness these biological cleaning crews to optimize our lifelong cellular health. So, I'll leave you with this thought. If fasting doesn't destroy your muscles but instead primes them for a powerful cellular upgrade, how will you rethink your approach to your next recovery day? Thanks for diving deep into the cellular world with me today. I really hope this gave you a completely new perspective on human physiology.